Another episode of Purely Arsenal. Hold on.
Start over.
Welcome.
You started like a second too early.
Episode of a Purely Arsenal podcast. We're live.
Hold on.
Double
Start one more time because you started while I was still talking. 3, 2, we're live. Go.
Welcome to another episode of the Purely Arsenal podcast. I've got plentiful guests, all in their Arsenal shirts. Some classics, some new classics. Neil wearing a jacket. It's a bit cold over there, raining, 104 degrees here. So just it's a mixed bag, isn't it? Neil Shaw with me. How you doing, Neil?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
Terrific, mate. Terrific.
Very happy at the moment, as you can tell.
Yeah, well, we won the League Cup. Innit? We just got to start winning at Anfield. You know, just stop beating the champions.
Yeah,
3 up.
What can I say?
Also got James Johnson. How you doing, James?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah. Bit jealous of you and your weather, but you know, this what I paid a price for living where I live, mate. So
honestly, wherever you are, you complain. I used to complain when it was too cold. As soon as I moved here, I complained it was too hot. Never happy. That's what it is. It's like transfers, isn't it? Michael Harris with me as well. Mike, how you doing? Oh, you're on mute, mate. You're still on mute. Hold on, we've got a sound issue. Go back to Mike in a second. I can hear some background noise of my voice in someone's. I don't know if it is Neil's. Maybe it is Neil's. I don't know. And I've got Anthony Palm with me. How you doing, Anthony?
What's going on, guys? It's the first time we're live on YouTube, so there might be some technical difficulties, so just bear with us. But
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of background noise of my voice. It might be on Neil's end or someone. And Mike's mic is unmuted now. Mike, how you doing?
Hi there, mate. You all right? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you.
Okay, good. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, all good. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the Liverpool Arsenal Carabao Cup. A little bit on that. A little bit on the Sheffield United. A little bit on the transfers. We wanted to press ourselves at this point. I'm getting a little bit sort of squeaky bum time for me at the moment. James says be calm. Neil didn't realise the window was still open. Mike is always quite calm. I want to see how Anthony feels about it. So get the transfers a little bit. Played Liverpool. Much changed lineup for both sides. Let's go to you, James, first. Much changed lineup both sides. What were your thoughts overall on the lineup? How did you see it? I saw it more as a back four, but a lot of people say it's a hybrid. It's very hard to judge it. Not really massive surprises. Just discuss for me a little bit on, obviously, the Saliba omission, which we'll probably could talk about a little bit more when it comes to the transfer stuff, which is incredible. But there's a lot of background stuff there that we probably weren't aware of 24 hours ago, as such. And then, your thoughts on some of the formation, positional areas, Willock, etc., Saka.
Yeah, obviously the goalkeeper first and foremost. I was happy that he retained his place. I said that obviously I want him playing as many games as possible for confidence, and stroke of genius really. Look how confident he is now. He shut a lot of people up, me included. So happy with that one. Cedric coming in. I can't tell if I think this guy's class or if I think this guy's a clown. He's somewhere in the middle for me at the moment. He shows glimpses of brilliance and everything else, but then at times I'm just like, you're just running to the byline and whipping in a Hollywood pass that's probably never ever going to land where you intend it. But obviously he scored a penalty, so I can't moan at him. Gabriel coming in, for me, I was just like, well, this goes to show why he should have played the other night. He wins everything in the air. He's the most composed, yet he's not been there the longest. I just think he organises, even though I think his grasp of English is still relatively unknown to most of them. I don't know how much English he does know. And and then obviously Kolasinac as the third centre-back, I was going mad because I thought that's going to jeopardise the sale, because I do believe he is one of the ones that's going to be going. Saka, no problems with that at all. Ceballos and Xhaka, I thought was fine. Pepe on the left, why you spend £72 million on a right winger but then put him on the opposite side, didn't understand that at all. And to do that to accommodate Joe Willock, who I want to say right now, that is the worst performance of a right winger that I have seen since Nick Griffin went on Question Time in 2009. It was absolutely diabolical. And Ketia down the middle's fine with me, so I can't complain.
Might be a little bit harsh on Joe there, but
Jack,
I think no. Do you know what I mean? I will get to. I don't want to get too much in. There's players that I want to get to on individuals. The more, I think, I see your point on Pepe for sure, and Joe Willock. I think, maybe what he's looking at, Joe Willock, is almost like what he looked at with Saka maybe sort of 6 months ago in trying him in different positions, but just doesn't have the quality yet. Doesn't have the quality to adapt to new positions. So he still feels like he's trying to find his feet, and he goes missing for large portions of the game for me with Joe Willock. But I don't want to sort of dwell on him too much. I agree with a lot of what you said. We'll get back to Cedric. I want to talk about Cedric a little bit because it's one of the first chances we really had a chance to have a look at him. Mike, let's go to you. Overall thoughts on the game. I want to start with some positives, but before I do, in this game, I was a little bit more disappointed with the performance in this game than I was even against the sort of on Monday night. I expected us to go Monday night with a plan. Maybe we thought it was a bit too defensive, a bit too passive. At what point, and Mikel Arteta is prioritising, results over style at this point. I think it's all fair for us to say that. And towards the end of the last season, I was absolutely all for that. I'm getting a little bit less easy with it because I know how long the season is, and I know that if performances aren't coming, results eventually are going to fade. I'm not likening it to this manager, but do we remember the Unai Emery period where there was 22 games unbeaten, and we're all going, we're not playing very well, but he just wins, doesn't he? And eventually that dries up, and I'm not sure against a changed Liverpool side with the names that we saw on their shirts, and we had our first choice 2 in the midfield, and we had a much changed lineup as well. I do understand that, but at what point do you start to get a little bit worried about the lack of style and our lack of ability to create openings and chances and making it easy on the eye? I didn't find it the most enjoyable game to watch. Am I being harsh?
No, I think the game, there was a couple of spells. Maybe there's a spell just before they dominated for the last 10 minutes in the first half where we looked like we were going to do something. And in the second half, when El Neni came on, and that was after their substitutions as well, Van Dijk and Salah came off, we started to load up on the left-hand side for some reason. Cedric was on the right, he was getting the ball, and Willock was getting the right, and they were just instantly bombing it, winging it across to the left-hand side. And Pepe was there, Eddie was there, and so they were overloading that side. And literally, the whole 90 minutes, I think there was probably a 20-minute, 30-minute spell where we sort of looked like we were, flowing really well with some moves. It is a worry that we, aren't really dominating games, but that's probably down to the personnel. And obviously this game, it was chops and change. We had lots of different players in, and so did Liverpool. So that's the thing with those sort of games. You're either going to get games like that, or you're going to get games where there's full of goals, lots of mistakes, and people playing off the cuff like there was last season when we drew 5-5 and lost on penalties. So I just think at the moment, the game on Monday and the game yesterday just proved that we do need some investment in that middle, and that's where where there's some sort of nous and some creativity there. We haven't really got that. Daddy Ceballos played really well, and I thought the first 20 minutes he was popping the ball about. Him and Saka were levels above everybody else. Really, what they were doing, proper levels above. And then Danny seemed to drop off a lot. He didn't really feature that much in the second half, and when he got taken off, you saw he had his head down a bit. So I don't know whether that's down to fitness or something, or whether he's carrying a knock, or he's just a bit peeved off that he's getting pulled when he feels that he's probably can still offer something. But it is a bit of a worry, Jack. But I think if you play those two particularly in the team of in the first team, I think we do open up teams a little bit more. But it is a worry that we're not really dominating games. It's only like little 10-20 minute spells where we look like we're gonna do something, and then the rest of the game we're sort of hanging on, defending. We'll see what happens in the next couple of days if we can address that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm a little concerned, not too concerned, but we obviously played Liverpool twice out of our first 4 games, so maybe it is a little bit, and both times at Anfield, so maybe a little bit difficult to judge. Anthony, let's go to you. Nice background there. Let's get a little bit of your opinion on the game. I felt like Mike. I personally felt our best part of the game was the early part of the game, the first sort of 20 minutes. And we're not going to too much. Same. Yeah. And when we're good, like Mike said, when we're good and when we're creating, just like the end of the Liverpool game, I feel like Ceballos is at the heart of it, and I think that links to our lack of creativity and how expansive he needs to be from a deep lying position. but they play such a high line. Even the change lineup played quite a high line for them, and sometimes you're just concerned that we're not able to pick out those passes. In that first 20 minutes, I recall Eddie's chance, but we don't get the shots off quick enough either. When we do get that opening, a lot of the time
it's like they stick to their feet. Yeah.
Yeah, we're waiting for that perfect opportunity to trigger it, and perfect opportunity to take a chance. But Anthony, what were your thoughts overall on the performance? Who stood out for you as positives in this game?
Well, obviously Leno. We'll talk about him. He was clearly man of the match. I don't think that's up for debate. But that was the one player that clearly stood out. I thought Danny obviously had a good game as well. Saka, I hope, because he looked kind of a couple times he looked like he was having like a calf injury or something. I don't know if he was just dehydrated or what.
A little bit of cramp, I think.
Yeah, I'm hoping that's all that was. So I mean, I don't think we've heard anything since. So I'm hoping that's all that was. But yeah, I mean, Saka is always, not always, but I mean, he's still young. But I thought he was a bright spot, and that's kind of really it. If I'm being honest, I thought the game felt kind of dead after that kind of early period of the game. It was almost like hard to watch. Like I'm kind of watching the game, and I'm just like, oh, we're gonna concede any minute. And I didn't really feel like we had it in us to go down and score another one to match it if we did. So it was funny. You and I kind of had the same thoughts on Cedric the whole match, because you were live tweeting as well. And he just kind of throws the ball in, and wherever it goes, it goes. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. But when he's not, shooting across in, I don't know what he's doing. So I'm kind of with James on that, where sometimes he looks brilliant and sometimes it's like, what is this guy doing? So
yeah, this was the first kind of look we've had at Cedric for a while. He'd been injured and out of it. I mean, we saw him against Wolves away. I recall he did okay for the first sort of 45 minutes against Wolves away, created the goal for Saka last season. But he's very different profile, Neil, to our other fullbacks, right? We've got Niles and Bellerin, very much all energy, back and forth, athletic. I joked that he's like a poor man's David Beckham. That's what he looked like to me, Cedric. But I didn't necessarily think he had a terrible game. He's clearly got a good delivery. I mean, Arteta said he's got the best delivery out of all our fullbacks last season, and this was before we'd even had a chance to see him. So he obviously feels that. It took a great penalty too, by the way, Neil. So he's definitely definitely got a very, very good delivery. I was laughing in the last 20 minutes of the game because it looked like Willock's not in front of him, is he? Because he's not playing right wing, so it's not really fair on Cedric as such because he has no right winger in front of him. But there was a lot of times that he was just whipping balls in, and their line was on the edge of their centre circle, but he was just whipping crosses in constantly. But what do you think about Cedric? Because he's here to stay. Whether he's been a lot of criticism of Cedric without seeing him play. What do you think? I sometimes in my head I'm looking at him thinking maybe he's more of a back four right back than a wing back, but I'm not seeing enough of him to judge it. What's your thoughts, Neil? Oh, you're on mute, Neil. You've got to unmute yourself. Go on. Sorry. New system. New system. Go ahead.
There we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, mate.
Can you hear me? Good. Right. Okay. I think it's too. I think he hasn't had. Well, he has had chances, but I think he will get better as time goes on. I just feel that at the moment he's got the pressure. I probably didn't think he expected not to be on the sidelines as much as he has been. Maybe there was rumblings that maybe either one or one of Bellerin or Niles may be off and he was going to get a chance, and then we signed him. We were all kind of raised up as, why did you give this like a 4-year deal? There was a little bit of uncertainty about that, and I just feel that maybe maybe that got to him somehow, and he's now all of a sudden thinking he was going to be a regular player, and then all of a sudden now he's not. And when he's got his chance, maybe he hasn't had enough time with the other players and on the pitch to really do what he can do. But I don't know. There's something inside me that suggests that he's going to get better. There's glimpses of something quite good in him, and I just feel that given time, if he gets more opportunities, that may transpire. But it's hard. I mean, you're talking about whether he's better in a 4 or how Arteta is setting up at the moment. I mean, I just think again it's a question of trying it out and seeing what happens, and it depends on who we're playing as well, I guess. But I did feel that he was trying. Maybe he's trying too hard. in the game, and that is why that there was a lot of those crosses that were misplaced, because he wanted to do something different. He wanted to unlock Liverpool a little bit, because we were defending a hell of a lot. I think we were. I actually thought, to be fair, that given it was only 3 days, Arteta improved us defensively very, very well. I mean, if you think about it, there was a lot of times where we were like a pack of wolves. Every time one of their players got the ball, you know, we were getting it off them very, very quickly, or at least stifling their passage of play, and then maybe they had to rethink and try something else, and that was giving us time, or the defenders time, to then, you know, get into better positions. Whereas on Monday, you know, we were just, you know, I think it was a different kind of game. It reminded me of the way we played them in the Community Shield, and maybe even when we played them in the league last season, when we beat them. So just making it known that, you know, 3 times we've beaten them, you know, recently out of 4. So I think Arteta did very well. I mean, it might not be the most prettiest of games to watch, but at the end of the day, we have gone back to Anfield after having been beaten 3-1. And he's managed to pick up all those players, and albeit there were 8 changes initially, but he's managed to pick up the squad and the team to perform and, you know, defend as well as they could, and they did it. You know, and Liverpool didn't put out a rubbish side. They had some good players out there. So I thought we did very well in that respect. So I think maybe Cedric in that role, he may have been, because he knows that there was a lot of expectation on him. Maybe he knows that, you know, this is a chance to prove himself. He might have just been trying too hard, but I think he may come good. I mean, we have to. We've got him for 4 years, so he's going to be utilised in some shape or form along the line. So I've got hopes for him.
Yeah, there's a little static on your end when your voice goes up. I think it just goes up, and then your voice, then it creates some static. So I'm trying to work out why it would do that. Maybe Anthony can help out a little bit. He's a tech wizard, but we'll see how we go. But got to just. I agree. Positives. Neil's taking the positives, and you've got to take the positives about winning at Anfield. When James, Mike, I think you both predicted we're going to win on pens, and you know, take your hand off with that, because, you know, and I actually listened. I never do, but I listened to a few Liverpool fans speak after the game, and they were actually, you know, they were encouraged by their performance. I felt they were better than us in this game, certainly second half. I felt we started better than them, though, in fairness. So I think, you know, I'm encouraged by certain players' performances, not so much by others. The style still, I question a little bit. I do feel with Gabriel coming out. Let's talk a bit about Gabriel, James. Let's talk a little bit about him, because he was admitted on Monday, and we were all probably at the start of the game quite understanding, because that was the back three that we were used to and won us the cup final and things like that. But we're starting to see now, especially with the rumours coming out about Saliba, why we bought this centre back. And, you know, let's go back to before the rumours came out about Gabriel. We were all a little bit surprised that was the first place we were going to into the transfer market. Obviously, Willian was already kind of a done deal at that point. But we're starting to see that he looked, I thought, in a game where defensively we didn't look that assured, and the goalkeeper took a lot of the slack and made some fantastic saves. I thought, you know, you've got to judge the opponent. I mean, Salah looked like a different player in this game. Maybe he wasn't quite at his best, but I think you've got to give some credit to Gabriel for that as well. I thought he handled him really well. He just looks like the modern kind of centre back, very assured, very mature, James, that we've been looking for. It's very early days though. What were your thoughts on him? I was impressed again by him, like I have been in the other 2 games.
Yeah, you know, like I said earlier, on Monday it scratched my head as to why he was dropped. But then I think he looked at it from a system way of changing it. But obviously the system that he picked on Monday was totally wrong, and we've all sat there and, you know, we discussed that on the last podcast. But no, he's a very, very tidy footballer. Do you know, he can get the passes out. Like I said, he's very, very good in the air. I think I didn't see him lose an area. If he did, I must have missed it, because I think he won everything in the air from what I saw. And then, you know, added to that as well, I just think he's a very, very, you know, tidy and accomplished footballer, and he's got great teeth and everything. Do you know what I mean? He shines out there, doesn't he? Not just his teeth. I just think he's a very, very, very decent footballer. So yeah, I hope that he plays on Sunday. I'm a bit worried because I think Rob Holding's played an awful lot of football, but for me, I don't know who else goes in there at that position, because at the moment, that right-sided centre half, you can't put David Luiz out there. And it just, I think to myself, who else is there to do that job? Because from the looks of things that I've just read a minute ago, when you asked me to tweet the links out, apparently Socrates is on his way to West Ham now.
Go on, the Hammers, go on. Oh, I am forever blow. No, I'm not going to see it. But is that who tweeted that though? Who's always just rumor?
It's just usual suspect.
Usual suspect. Daily Nexus, the bottom corner, the dark corner. What is it? The Arsenal horse.
Yeah, if it was West Ham Central, I'd probably believe it more, because that's their quite decent IT.
I mean, it is incredible. If you go through our, we've got 8 centre backs. We've got 8 centre backs. We're 3 days away from the end of the transfer window. We've got 8 centre backs, and this is why rumours are even cropping up with centre backs we had really high hopes for this season. But obviously, there's more to that story, and I'll get to Sleeper after it. I want to go back to Mike on a little bit on the game. Burn Leno, Mike. We all had a little dig at him. We've all got to take some responsibility. But I mean, if
Not
anyone
Anthony.
needed, not Anthony, not Anthony. I'm going to get to you on Leno, Anthony. No, you want to say some positive stuff. You've been relatively positive on him. Fantastic performance. If anyone needed a big performance, it was him. What were your thoughts overall on him? I think it's really encouraging. I loved the way he spoke after it. Loved him in the penalty shootout. It was a great game for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think obviously, I had my doubts, still do, but all you can do is be as good as what's in front of you and do the job. And yeah, he made some fantastic saves. I've said that he's a good keeper, obviously. When James raised up as a great shot stopper, yes, but I think what I said was everything else. His composure, the communication. Everything else, there's loads of stuff. Concentrations. Like you talk about all the top keepers we've had over the years or in the world of football. It's not just their great shot stoppers. There's other things that they need to have to the attributes that they need to have, and he's displayed some of them, but not all. But no, happy. Totally happy that he's put in a performance like that. We're not on this. On this pod, we're not the type of pod to bash people for the sake of it. We try to come at it in a constructive way if there's anything that we want to say about some players. But like you said, the way he spoke at the end, when he was talking about, the club told him he was number one. He feels that he's number one and will always be the number one. I'll tell you what, he must have listened to the number one Arsenal podcast when we streamed this, because he must have listened to us. So. Fair play to him. If he carries on like that, gets the confidence. You saw him at the end of the game; he was buzzing. There was a point in the second half. I think he made a save, and he was talking. He looked around to someone. He was having a good old chuckle about something. So he looked like he was really enjoying himself. So, fair play to him. And like I said, we're here to support the Arsenal players, and long may it continue. If he's going to chuck in performances like that.
About that interview after the game, I thought he was going to start singing Chesney Hawkes. He just kept mentioning the one. I'm just going to start singing the one and only. I was like, oh, here he goes. But no, I just want to say, from all that I've pinned him down and had a pop about him, I will say the initial one with Minamino in the first half is another glaring example of the problems that he does have. But I will say the save from Diego Jota in the second half is sensational. And I'm like, any goalkeeper that saves, I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Especially after Kolasinac did his Stevie G impression.
I thought the Van Dijk one was up there as well.
Yeah, it's really good as well.
Yeah. No, the
Jota
low. The Jota one, I thought was sensational.
Jota one was the one from the looping header was a bit for the cameras probably, but and then the Minamino one, I presume you're looking for a stronger hand there, a bit like the goal against Mane from that header, and I can agree with that. I think I felt that at the time, but it's a lot of what Mike says in a sense of what we saw from Leno. This was all, point blank shot stopping. And we've never really been concerned about that for Leno. We think he's one of the best at that, and actually he's proven he's one of the best at that. It's the other stuff, the commanding of the box, communication. I did love his interview though. I've got to admit, he doesn't talk that often, but it's like Ivan Drago, wasn't he? It was just it was absolutely. He went Emmy who? It was almost like that, wasn't it? I'm always number one. He went. We got number two now. That's it. They'll go collect the balls for me.
If he
A
dies,
bit like
he
that.
dies.
Yeah, if he dies, he died. Yeah, it was amazing. But I like that. And we'll get to the penalty shootout. Well, let's get to it now. I want to check Neil's mic before I go to Anthony. Neil, what were your thoughts on Leno, but also Leno in the penalty shootout? It was weird in the penalty shootout because rarely do you ever see a penalty shootout flip. Like you go down and then you win it. Like usually once you've lost that first pen, you lost it. But what were your thoughts, Neil?
Oh, terrific. I just thought he grew in confidence. I think that first save, I know you guys are a little bit iffy about it. The one that he parried and the minimi, I can't say his name, hit the bar. Yeah, okay. Any other day that would have gone in, and then Leno would have been blamed, etc., etc. But I think just pulling off that save, the reach, and the fact that he stopped the initial shot, I saw him growing confidence from that moment on, just completely and utterly. And I think he controlled the position between the sticks like he used to before he got injured. And he just seemed to be growing and growing. And it was almost like tangible. You could see this confidence just get larger and larger within him. And then he just started pulling off excellent saves. And he kept us in it. There's no two ways about it. He actually kept the game level at 0-0. If it wasn't for him, then it could have been a different story. But so I thought from that was excellent. And even no matter what happened in the penalty shootout, I was already feeling a lot better after the game on Monday with respect to the goalkeeping position. So I thought that was fabulous stuff. And then when is the last time? I know you guys will know, especially James, the stat man. When is the last time that an Arsenal keeper has saved not just one penalty but two? I can't recall in a shootout or otherwise, but he pulled off two great saves and he won us the game, and I think he's actually going to now how can you say regain that position with the confidence and the authority that we know him to have. He was very much under Emmy's shadow for that spell. Absolutely, and quite rightly so, because Emmy was just incredible. He was just superhuman. But now I think he's going to regain that, and he's going to establish himself as the prime keeper. And I think if he irons out some little bits of flaws in his game here and there, which I think he will over time, because I think we're only going to get better and better, especially in the defence when Gabriel starts getting even more established. Establishing a good partnership with Luis. It's a little bit sad about Saliba, and we know the reasons why that's come about, which is very sad. And I just wish the lad all the very, very best. But I think once all the defence get used to him back in the sticks and vice versa, I think he can only get better. So I think we're going to have the new Emmy. Weirdly to say that, because it was always Leno's position, but I think we'll have the new Emmy Martinez in Leno. I'm really confident in that.
One thing I'll add is Neil made a great point there. There was no David Luiz, because we said it the other night. There is a massive disconnect between them two players. I don't think Luiz trusts him or likes playing with him. And without him, look how much more confident he was. And then also another great point you make, Neil, is when he did make that save and it come off the bar and his confidence grew. He was the same as that in the last round against Leicester. Do you remember the Maddison one that went over his head? And we were all like, oh, you idiot. And then that hit the post or the bar, didn't it? And he sort of was like, lucky me. And then he did really well in that last game, which is why I say keep playing him, because I know we've signed that new goalkeeper and people want to watch him play. But this guy needs to, he needs his character built back up. And like you just said there, I hope he runs with it, because... I'm
absolutely delighted for his performance. Go on, Neil.
I think he's got to keep playing. I completely agree with you, James. I think he's got to keep playing. I think when we might test out that new keeper is potentially in the Europa League games, possibly. Maybe once we've established a good position in that league, then he might start trying the other keeper out. Or I just feel that he needs to rebuild what he had before. That's all I know, and I think the only way to do that is quite rightly what James said, is he's got to keep playing. I've got complete faith in him. I think this game was so essential for his build-up for the rest of this season. It's untrue. I think he's going to go from strength to strength, and I think he's going to reclaim possibly a position of being one of the best, if not the best keeper in the league as a result.
Yeah, just to Europa League, we go to Vienna, we go to Norway, mold it in Norway, and we go to Ireland, Dundalk in Ireland, which is not bad trips in terms of the length of the trips and things like that, and in terms of the size that we're facing, it probably could have been a little bit trickier for us. So maybe, like you said, maybe we get that was better Neil, sound wise. Just hear an echo when you mute and I'm speaking. That's all I hear. I hear an echo at that point. So just unmute as you start speaking. But yeah, so that's the Europa League group, which a lot of people haven't probably touched on. But Anthony, let's go to you. I want to talk about Nicolas Pepe. Played on the left. A lot of fans not having a huge confidence in him to come back into the team. I felt a little bit for him again, but I was really happy to see him get 90 minutes because a lot of what I put down to him, he got into some good positions early on, helped create the best chance of the game for us, really, other than the Rob Holding header through Eddie Nketiah. I think it was Willock touched it onto Eddie Nketiah, and Eddie Nketiah could not get his shot off, and that was probably our best moments of the game. And then he faded a little bit, looked a little bit tired when he get into positions and take a shot with his right, and he couldn't get his feet sometimes. What's your thoughts on Nicolas Pepe, Anthony? Because I've got really high hopes for him this season.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I have high hopes for him. As you guys mentioned before, he's playing on the wrong side in this game. I don't know why. The thing that I appreciate about him thus far is that it looks like he's at least, putting in the effort and trying and making his runs, and it's not like he's just lollygagging. He's just not, he's not giving us the finished product, which of course we would like to see out of a player that we spent so much money on. But it's not like he's not trying, and so I can at least bare minimum appreciate that out of him. I tend to not be as harsh on him as some other people. I do think that his talent level is just it's too high for us to give up. I mean, anyone giving up on him this early is insane, but he just has too much talent for us to not be excited for him in the future, But as far as that game goes, yeah, I mean, it was what it was. He didn't really do anything. I was so nervous for his penalty too, because I was nervous for him, because if he somehow missed the penalty, I knew it would have been social media wouldn't have been nice to him, and I was just happy for him that he scored that, because I was worried. I was like, oh god, please don't give us a reason to blame him for anything. So
yeah, we've got to get behind Nicolas Pepe. He's a big signing, and we've seen it go wrong with big signings before. I just think he's a player like some others. We've got to get behind. We know he's with us, and Arteta still speaks highly of him. I think this 90 minutes is going to do him good. I think he's not been as fit because he's been in and out of the side, and I think it's going to do him some favours and going to do him good. And we might see the team change a lot over the next few weeks. Sorry, Anthony, I think you're still on, or someone's muted. I'm muted.
It's me.
Oh, it's Neil. Sorry. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, sorry, Jack, to interrupt. I just think that, like Leno, he needs games. He needs lots of game time.
Yes.
I really do believe that.
Yeah.
Because if Willian's going to keep coming in and taking his place, it's not going to do him any favours. And I'm not trying to say we don't play Willian, because Willian's got his own qualities. I just feel that if we want to see Pepe grow, he's got to play more often.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want it to be one of those where he's getting a game every 3 or 4, and it's a Europa League game. So I do want to see him come back in, but he's got to show and prove his quality. I didn't think it was a great game from him, but don't think many outfield players had a great game in this one. Other than Saka, Gabriel. I thought Ceballos started well, faded towards the end, and that was kind of the way I saw it. Couple of things. They were the better side, I think. James, it's fair to say they were probably the better side, especially second half. There was a point where shooting practice for us, and we looked fatigued and tired. Came back into it a bit more towards the end. Should have had a penalty though, James.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it on the grand scale of things, I thought that we only really had 3 chances, which was the first one in the first half of Eddie Nketiah, where he took the touch. If he volleys that or smacks that first time, I'm pretty confident that hits the back of the net. And then the second half, obviously, you've got the Rob Holding header, which he should have tucked that one in. And then, like you said, yeah, that last incident, that's 3 handballs to me, because it's the initial one where he falls on it or whatever it is, but then he moves the ball twice, and it's like he pushes it away from where we're trying to attack. And I know they don't have VAR in this competition, because apparently they claim that, it's not fair on the small teams because the small teams can't afford or implement the technology. I'm sorry, this is Liverpool Arsenal. no disrespect to any other club that's in the EFL and everything else in that, the 72 clubs that are in that pyramid deserve to be in that pyramid. However, when it gets to this sort of stage and it's 2 Premier League teams and they've got the technology there, for me, it's lazy. I think it's absolutely lazy on behalf of, the EFL or the FA, whoever's putting the competition on, whatever one it is. I don't know how many different organisations and strands it is, but I just think that's simply lazy because, that is a really pivotal moment in the game as well. Like, if we got that penalty, now, we might not have scored it. Looking at the penalty shootout, we probably would have, but especially if it's Ainsley Maitland-Niles taking it. I mean, that guy, I think he's the best English penalty taker I've seen since Matt Letitia. I think he's absolutely, and he barely takes them unless they're in the shootouts. I mean, it's getting to a stage now where if he's on the pitch and we get one, I'm telling Aubameyang and Lacazette, give him the ball. Give him the ball because he's more of a dead cert than any of you at the moment. And the way he takes them as well, it's just savagery on the goalkeeper. I mean, Adrian turned and laughed and clapped.
He was giving it a lot.
But he turned and looked at him, and with that, everyone, I think loads of people have changed their default picture to the little smile back, and it's class, man. Like, that guy with penalties is, it's an absolute piss take, but it's great. When it works, it looks sensational. And
love Arteta's comments about giving him a heart attack and all that sort of stuff. He really put himself in a fan's boat there, because I'm the same. I'm like, if you miss this, you're going to look an absolute. But he's so confident when he's. Anthony, I can't see any of the live comments, but if you can tell me where I can access them, let me know and I'll have a look. But I'm not good. Oh, unless I probably need to go into the YouTube link. That's probably makes sense, does it? But yeah, you're right. I thought it was all our penalties, bar the El Neni one, which was obviously a really poor, great height for Adrian and easy to save. But it was great to see, us come back from the penalty shootout. Great to see Leno's 2 saves. I don't think he saved many. So I thought he did fantastic in terms of his penalty saves. Just carried on from his performance in the game. Mike, let's go to you though. Where do you sit? You've got Man City in the next round. I'd love to win this competition, but I want to win it by playing a similar side. What were your thoughts on Nelson being omitted? And then let's just talk, as we're going to get into the transfers a little bit, about Saliba as well. Sounds like I don't want to go into the specifics of the personal issues because I don't believe we're actually privy to truly what's gone on. I know there's been some Sky Sports muppet that's decided to ask every detail about his parents and all this sort of stuff. But let's put football aside for a second. With everything that's going, it's quite understandable from what we're hearing. It's really unfortunate from our perspective because we've got this new player that we thought was going to be maybe our new modern centre back, and we know we've heard so many good things about him at Saint Etienne and watched him, but he's had a indifferent year in terms of injuries. Now all these issues coming off the field. It'd be unfortunate, wouldn't it? But you've got to deal with a total person, and Arsenal have always been pretty good at doing that, haven't they? Yeah,
absolutely. At the end of the day, you're talking about players' welfare, and this is going back a bit, but when Edu first came to Arsenal, I think he lost his sister. His sister died just after he came over from Brazil, and he mentioned the way Arsene Wenger and the club supported him during that period of time. So player welfare. There's stuff going around on Twitter, people talking, having a backhanded go at Saliba, saying, well, he should be playing, and we can't be loading him back. We spent so much money on him, and he should man up. Again, we're not privy to the whole issue of it, whether obviously what's going on behind the scenes. But I think Anthony probably knows there was a situation in America where the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Dak Prescott, was talking about how he was dealing with depression and anxiety after his brother committed suicide. And a guy came out, a guy called Skip Bayless, who is basically like an American Adrian Durham. He goes on there and he just chats rubbish and gets hits and gets people to talk about him, which is funny what we're doing now.
Just real quick, to really hit it home, this guy, he doesn't even believe the things he says. Like, he says things literally just for reactions.
Just reactions. Yeah. And he basically said he shouldn't have come out and said all that stuff, because he's a quarterback. He's got 51 other guys who, when it comes down to the fourth quarter, they want him to lead him through. He needs to be tough enough to lead him through. He's got no sympathy for his depression and the way he feels, and that's where you've got to treat these people as human beings. Saliba has had, he's had a shocking year. Obviously, he's lost a family member. Obviously, he's had injuries as well. Obviously, the COVID situation killed the French season. So he was left in limbo. They ended the season early. Then he came back over here in June or July. Whilst just shortly after his mother passed away. So it's not been a great year for him. So we're not privy to obviously what's going on behind the scenes. But whatever the club decide to do with him, whether that's putting him out on loan or keeping him at the club, we've got to support. We've got to support that. Who are we to go jump online and make disparaging comments about him? It's not on. He's a human being at the end of the day, and we just got to take on board what the club do, because they're doing it in the. It's sad to say he's an investment. They've invested money in him, so they want to make sure that he's in the right frame of mind or the right position. As Arteta said, transitional. He needs a transitional season. I think he needs a transitional year. He needs all the support he can get.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, it's more than that. I don't think it's a footballing decision. It doesn't sound anything like a footballing decision for me, because we all know he's got the quality to play in these games. That's why we bought him, especially when we're looking at the League Cup games. So we said actually the first game of the season, when I think Neil was concerned that why is Saliba not in the squad, we said maybe in 3 or 4 games, if it's still happening, maybe we come back and discuss it, and maybe there's something else going on. And it turns out there is, and it's unfortunate, but ultimately it's about the total player. So as we're getting on to transfers, fantastic win in the Carabao Cup, fantastic to see us win. Not delighted about the performance. I've just started to see the comments in the chat. So Bob Lex, thank you, Mr. Bob Lex, for comments in the chat, and he's saying that now the rule has changed in terms of the handball rule. I've got to read up on those rules, because they're saying this weekend they're going to take a more subjective look on it. The rule clearly wasn't very, very clear at the start of this Premier League season. That, to me, when I see him drop and touch the ball multiple times with his hand, and I'm comparing it to Diaz's one and Lindelof's one, I'm just
the ball away.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like that. So
how can that not be classed as a hand? But he's literally shooed the ball away.
Simon saying that.
like when your dog jumps on you when you're trying to eat, he's like mushing it like that. I don't know.
Incredible. Again, we don't get decisions at Anfield generally, but we'll look at that. And I haven't seen the video of El Neni. Neil, sorry, you're off mute. Sorry, a lot of background.
I just wanted to say very quickly. We didn't touch on it, but the refereeing was awful. The officiating was diabolical in the whole game. James sent me those highlights before we went on, and the number of times Saka was just pulled down or tugged back, and nothing's given. There's a couple of offside decisions which I thought were on side. And the commentators once again just brushed it away. Yeah, that's offside. Yeah, that's offside. When I'm thinking, no, I don't think it was. I think that was on. You got the handball decision, and then I thought Saka mainly was a target because he was playing so well. But I thought he got clattered and pulled down and pulled back so many times, and not one booking. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And the same thing that happened on Monday night. I just want to say that.
Great comment from Melvin saying both hands need to be on the ball if it's a Liverpool player, and then they might give it. Both hands on the ball. It's probably true. I mean, it's unbelievable some of the decisions we've not got against them over the recent games. But so I was going back to Mike. It was a good performance. Good performance in terms of a win, the overall style. But again, Arteta seems to really be excited about breeding results. And you hear his comments after the game. And he's just so excited that we're continuing to grind out results at this point. And maybe he's privy to. Maybe he's aware that things might change quite drastically in terms of our setup over the coming weeks. And Gabriel's a big one for that, right? We talked about Luis and how we all thought Gabriel was brought in as a left centre back, but every time he's played centrally. So you start to think, is it Luis and Gabriel alongside each other in a three, or is it one or the other? And I think that's going to become clearer maybe as weeks go on. We felt largely that Luis would be a mainstay in the team, but we just don't know. we just don't know how the season's going to develop and how this transfer window is going to develop. Let's do a few fans. I've got to come off my YouTube link and do a few fans questions. Before we do, I want to see stick or twist, Mike. Stick or twist for the signings. Now, we've got 3 days left in the window. Feels very slow still. Nothing's really moved. You said Torreira and Socrates, and James just mentioned a rumour about Socrates going to West Ham coming out. You said Torreira and Socrates would go, and Aor and Raya would come back in. Changed your mind? 2 sales, 2 signings.
So yeah, Torreira and Socrates. Yeah, I think they'll definitely be gone, and I think I can never pronounce his bloody name. Yeah. I think he'll come in. I think it will be lastminute.com, and who else did I say?
You said we signed the goalkeeper Raya, but to be honest, if you read our
no, that's not going to happen now. That's not going to happen now. I think we get someone else in. I don't want to say who I think it's going to be because I think you'll just switch this stream off, Jack.
But you've got to say it now. You've got to say it now.
Right. No, don't worry. It's not Dele Alli. I think it might be Jorginho. I think it might be Jorginho.
Okay, end the conversation.
The way they're talking about it and the stuff that's gone on. I think he really wants to get 2 bodies in that midfield. I really do. If one's gone, Torreira, but I think he definitely wants to get 2 bodies in midfield. I think if you go the whole season, the majority of the season with Xhaka and Ceballos, you're risking it. You're asking for trouble. To be fair, because I think the replacements, they're not there. The bodies aren't there, and the level drops a little bit further. When Willock. I think Willock is a great try, but I think he's someone that needs a loan away to a Premier League club where he can get 30 games under his belt, playing week in, week out for a mid-table Premier League club, so he can stand out a little bit and get that confidence. Because he just seems like a guy that's not confident. He's not got the belief yet. So I think he'll be looking at the midfield to get 2 bodies in there, Jack.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm changing yours. You're saying Jorginho. I'm going to mention it again. So Jorginho out in. Anthony, we didn't get your predictions. We're saying there could be more. There should be more in terms of sales. Signings, I think we'd all be quite happy with 2 if they were of the right quality. At this point, I'd actually be happy with 1 if it was of the right quality at this point. James is going to tell me, don't worry, it's all going to happen. But Anthony, 2 sales and 2 signings. Who are they going to be for you?
Well, Torreira is obviously 1. I don't know. I don't know who the other sale would be.
Bob Lex is saying, has Kalashnak gone yet? He hasn't. They said 48 hours ago, about 4 days ago, and he decided to play for us yesterday.
I think he's the one on his way out. So I'll go Kalashnak and Torreira. Purchases, I think that we only get however we say his name. None of us know how to say his name. We're gonna have to wait for the reveal video to know how to say his name. I think he's the only one.
If it's of that quality, I'll take it. If you look at things like El Neni, right? El Neni is really filling the position that Guendouzi should be filling in if he wasn't such a spoiled child at this point, right? He's filling that position and he's doing a pretty good job of it in terms of maintaining our structure and I think to a certain degree he's doing it, although he's not as expansive as Guendouzi's doing. But we don't really know what's going to happen with that player either, and Guendouzi and Ozil, and there's rumours. What the things change with them once we know they're already staying and things like that. So I don't.
Can I make a prediction about? I think whatever happens with Guendouzi, I think that we've resigned to dealing with it in the winter window. I think that's what's going on. I think that we're worried on everything else right now, and I think in the winter is when we're going to try and get him out.
Get him out. Okay, fair enough. Well,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go on.
Would you take Jorginho over Guendouzi?
Oh, if it was like a swap with Guendouzi and Chelsea.
No, not a swap. As in, would you rather have Jorginho in there?
Yes.
Really?
Well, in the sense that Guendouzi isn't playing and Jorginho would come in and obviously he'd play the game in terms of the deep line midfield role. maybe and he's positionally better and things like that. They like him a lot at Chelsea. I just don't want him, but they do like him. They play him a lot as well. They like him a lot.
Too similar to what we already have.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue. The profile is not right. The profile is completely not right. Neil, stick on. So I've got Anthony's. He said Ale in and Torreira and Kolasinac out. Neil, you said Macy and Torreira to go. Not heard anything on Macy really. I don't know if we'll just forget about him and because he hasn't played he's played so little. They just won't even bother announcing him. By the way, they'll say in November. So Macy and Torreira. Bob Lex, you asked about the non-brick quota. The numbers confuse me a little bit on that, and I want to look at it at the end of it. I do know though we need to get a few off the books, but we want to get. I've got to go back and look at the numbers on it. It looks like our squad is definitely too large. Almost like we needed to sell 2 or 3 to get one in, and obviously we lost Emi Martinez, who would fall under the homegrown talent, right? So we've got to look at those numbers again. They confuse me quite a lot. If anyone's got those numbers for him, let me know. But Neil, you said Macy Torreira out. Our part. You said Ayo Partey and Zaha in.
What's wrong with that?
You're sticking with that?
What's wrong with that?
Okay, moving on. Okay, you're sticking with it, Macy Torreira. You don't want to change any of that. 3 days later.
I don't think any of us would complain about that. I
can't see Macy getting a game because if something God forbid happens to Leno, why would he play Macy if he's just spent money on this other keeper? It doesn't make sense.
I'm fine with your sales. I'm fine with your sales. I'm just saying, do you still think we're going to sign 3 players of that quality?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, Neil's gone. He's lost it.
I just laughed at Bobby's comment about Kolasinac. His transfer's taking so long. Was he so slow himself?
Yeah, he's so yeah, he's very fair play.
Bobby's a crack because he comes on my gaming streams and he's a real crack. Good luck.
Oh yeah, Tomb Raider Part 7. Okay,
shut up, Jack. I'm going now. Bye bye.
James, you said, sorry, we've got yours. Here, Torreira Mustafi out. Very quiet on Mustafi, by the way. Torreira looks almost a done deal at Atletico. And you said Ayor and John Stones in. Now, we are hearing a centre-backs maybe shifting. So are you sticking with that?
I might change it because from how it looks, I think that with this unfortunate circumstance with Saliba, Mustafi's been given an extra baton of maybe he's got another chance. So, because he plays on that right-hand side, which is where I think Saliba would have been, if obviously these other circumstances and what have you haven't happened. And, for me, I'm like, if he needs to go back to France or whatever, for the family reasons and what have you that have been quoted, then let him go. Let him go because there's more, we can always, if it's just a loan, he can develop. He can bring him back. We already said he's talented. You could tell. I mean, in that MK Dons pre-season game, okay, he only played a short few glimpses and everything else, but he was decent. He was decent when we saw him out there. You could tell straight away, even at 18, 19, however old he is. You're like, oh yeah, you've got something about you straight away. It was a bit like all them years ago. I heard it from my dad and obviously my dad's friends because I was still a bit young back then. But who was it that Patrick Vieira come on and made his? Was it one of the Sheffield clubs?
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, I think.
And they said within his first 4 or 5 touches, everyone in the stadium straight away were like, "Whoa, this guy's so." And I sort of got that. I sort of got that vibe when I watched Saliba play. But yeah, so I don't personally think it's going to be John Stones, but I still think we're going to sign Aouar. There you go. That's how you pronounce it.
Aouar. Okay, like that.
Yeah. And I think that with Kolasinac going, I'm going to stick with Man City, but I think this Zinchenko one might have legs now. I think we're going to go for the extra. I'm going
the left back.
Yeah, I'm going to swap John Stones and go for Zinchenko.
You're a little bit inconsistent there because you say, but you think Kolasinac going to leave. You just didn't pick him, obviously. Okay, then that makes sense.
Yeah,
okay,
so I'll swap Mustafi to stay, Kolasinac to go, Torreira to go, and then Zinchenko and Aouar in.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go. I said Torreira, Nelson out. I'm sticking with that because Nelson didn't feature at all in that squad. That makes sense to me. I said Our and Party, and I don't think Party's going to happen now. There's not enough around it. I don't know why we would have done the deal with Torreira and waited so long and then just given it as a loan. There's nothing around it, so I just can't see how we fund it. We look like we're waiting for money to come in order to make this next bid. We're going to make it.
The Asda money's going to filter through the family, mate. You know, his wife's the heiress to Walmart. He's going to go for a look, love, the Asda sale. Can you squeeze a few? Mate, we'll sneak it. He'll tap the wife up for a few quid.
Oh gosh!
Neil knows, mate. We're going to end up. It's going to be like when we lost 8-2 to Man United, and we'll end up with 5 players in one go. Neil's seen it. Neil knows the madness. He knows.
I wonder. So I'm going to go left field a little bit. I'll say no Partey. I'm going to change. I'm going to twist on it. I'm going to say no Partey, but I'm going to say we do get another midfielder in because I think Guendouzi still could leave this window, maybe on loan. The rumor we've heard was Marseille on loan, but their manager kind of poo-pooed it. But guy that you've mentioned at Marseille was Morgan Sanson. There's not been any sort of rumor around him, but the main thing that Villas-Boas was saying was we can't buy anyone unless we get rid of someone, really. So we've basically been looking for a swap deal since day one for Guendouzi, haven't we? So I don't know if that's possible. Don't know if it's going there, but I think we get. I'm going to say him. I'm going to say him for now. I don't think it's going to happen necessarily, but I think we get 2 in, and I'm trying to figure out where the second one comes from. I think left back's got legs to it, but because I don't see a backup for Tierney in the back four.
Very, very good player, Jack.
He's 26, but he's never played for the France national team. Which
but he's a decent player, mate. Honestly,
right.
I'll go out on my legs and say he's a very, very good player.
Okay, well, I was just reading bits about that, and the latest on our is everyone came after him in the last 2 or 3 hours. Juventus, PSG, Real Madrid. That's almost been kind of dropped off by Fabrizio Romano, right? The Juventus aren't in for him; they're going after Chiesa. PSG aren't in for him; they can't afford him with the money they've got or something at the moment, and Real Madrid supposedly weren't going to make any signings this window anyway. So it feels like if we were able to pay the fee, we still could get the deal done. That's what it feels like. But the ability to be able to pay fees at this point is going to be difficult. Mari's a great shout, Melvin. I think Mari's a great shout in terms of playing on the left. I've not seen enough of him, and I know he's not fully fit yet, but I think he's a great shout with Luis or Gabriel in a back 2 or a back 3. I like the profile of Mari. He doesn't strike me as a very sort of fast player, but technically on the ball, I like him. I like his distribution. I watched him at Flamengo when we signed him, and watched some clips of him, and I actually quite like the look of him. But again, the difficult thing is we've got 8 centre backs on the books, and truth, clubs don't have more than 5 or 6, so you'd like to see sort of a couple go out this window. Now Saliba seems unfortunately one. The other one, maybe it's Socrates, and maybe we're okay from there. But I'd be fine losing another one, or if it was a Mustafi or even a Callum Chambers or something like that. Full Brazilian back 3. Hopefully we don't repeat the old World Cup 7-1 at Germany or whatever it was. But different players. I really like Gabriel though. Really, really like the look of and profile of Gabriel. So there were a few fans' questions. I'll quickly get to 1 or 2 of them. Kyle asked one about our favourite Arsenal moment. I'm going to do that on the next podcast, Kyle. I know you listen a lot and you listen on YouTube as well. So listen, subscribe on our YouTube link. That'd be great. We like that. Why do Arsenal take a lifetime to get deals done? Marky Sparky 14 says, we think we're skint, Mark. That's what we think. We think we're absolutely skint. We're brassic. We're like Del Boy, and we can't get deals done and over the line, and we need sales to happen. And we've loaned Torreira. There's no real sale there, so maybe we're waiting on a Kolasinac sale, or that might bring in 10 million rumored. Maybe that's enough for us to up our bid for our and. I was really hopeful that the deadline by Leon would push us into doing a deal, and then we'd have a couple of days where we might be able to dream a little bit of another deal. But I get the feeling that one could run till the end of the deadline. To be honest, that our one, because it's so still not moving. It felt closer a couple of days ago, to be honest. But if we get our 2 targets, I think Kyle Foley 923 is talking about. Our and Partey, when I hear 2 targets, what's your starting formation at 11? And also, say we get those targets, what would you do next summer to improve once again? If we get those 2 in, Mike, our ability to change formation is right there.
Yeah, massive. So you could play 4-2-3-1, still stick with the 4. 3-4-3. Sorry, yeah, he just gives Arteta loads of options, versatility. With the players who are versatile to chop and change. But I think obviously those two would immediately come into the side. I think he's inclined to go 4-2-3-1. I think that's probably the formation that I think he would like to play, possibly.
Can I ask one question just about in, Mike, real quick?
Yeah, sure.
If we just get our, which is a lot of our feelings now that that's our number one target, and if we're going to get one, we're going to get one. Do you see? There's a lot of rumours and talk about our being used on the left side, and maybe eradicating a Lacazette from the position and finally seeing Aubameyang centrally.
Yeah.
What do you think, or even putting our in an attacking midfield role and then being able to develop a four at the back from there? What do you think? If we just got one in, do you think you still see that possibility to transition this formation and make it into a more maybe creative lineup?
Yeah, possibly, because of from what we've seen or on clips, what he can bring to the table. So all of a sudden, you've got someone there who can create and unlock. We seem to have problems. As we saw against West Ham, against teams who have what they call the low block, and then against teams that have the high press. So we see in between, we need to have someone there who's able to play against both of those sort of scenarios and unlock the door, but also he's got technical ability to get away from things when he's getting pressed, and he can do that. So I think obviously if you're playing against a team with a high press, you may probably want him, who can pick up the ball and break the lines a little bit. And against teams with, like your West Hams, you want him to play a little bit further up and he can thread those balls through. He's very creative and, off the cuff, some of the passes that he makes, and you can imagine Aubameyang running onto the end of him if he's played centrally. So it just gives more options because again he's a player that can play in a couple of positions. He's not just someone that sits there or that's his role. He can only stay there. He's someone that can play in a different couple of positions. Arteta can change and and set up depending on who he's facing. So, but I kind of think he's probably would like to go the 4-2-3-1 route or the 4-3-3, play 4 at the back. He's playing the 3 at the back, I think, because of what he's got available, really. And Tierney, again, that option of being versatile, he can play left back, he can play left centre back. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a range of possibilities there, but he's got some big decisions to make because I think we are starting to see the limitations of this lineup because it requires so much really from that left side, right? That left centre back is such a unique position that you can't recreate without Tierney, and I think the left wing back's a really unique position as well. And we kind of this overlapping left side dominant team that kind of bypasses the midfield to a certain degree. It feels relatively limited and maybe starts to become quite easy for the opposition to play against. And that's the real concern when we, look at our creativity and when we don't create a lot of volume of chances like the old Arsenal would, if you like. But got a question from the Texas Schooner. Guys, thanks for tuning in on this is the first time we've ever done it live. So anyone that's tuning in is great for the live one. You can go back and listen to it whenever you like, of course. But Bob Lex, Melvin Marks, Simon Reed. I don't know if I've got Simon in the old Twitter link, but Simon, thanks for tuning in as well. Warm Boom, I think he popped on and popped off as well. Appreciate it. The Texas Schooner says, Anthony, if we ever successfully transition to a back 4, what are your thoughts on Ainsley Maitland-Niles being a mainstay in that central midfield 3? Been a lot of talk about that because Ainsley Maitland-Niles hasn't played in central midfield 3 a lot. I'm personally for him being this versatility sort of fullback hybrid wingback player. What are your thoughts? Do you think we've moved past him being central?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I just think at that point, I think we'll have all those central midfield positions filled. Like I don't know where he would fit in the middle of the park. So I kind of like him as that same kind of hybrid. Wing back, winger, fullback kind of utility player. I mean, if he works out in midfield, when we're playing, Europa League fixtures or whatever, that's cool. But I see him more on either side of the, versus being, played centrally.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Texas Schooner says he really likes the player. I would like to see him. I don't think he's, and this is not because I think he's got so many good attributes, but I'm not sure he's quite good enough technically on the ball in terms of being able to retain possession. Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Sometimes we see him a little bit wasteful when he gets into that final third, and I think that's slightly to do with the fact that he's coming from the left. If you look back a year ago when he was playing right wing back under Unai Emery, he wasn't always consistent in his performances, but when he got to the final third, I'm talking Valencia away and things like that, he really had the ability to deliver. Ainsley Maitland-Niles quite regularly, I would say, but we're not seeing that so much from the left. So I think positionally that might affect him a little bit. And I'm hopeful. I still, in the back of my mind, wonder about so we heard about the rumours with Manchester United and Ainsley Maitland-Niles, and I hope that doesn't come to effect. I'd like to keep him, just like I'd like to keep Lacazette. Though I do understand fans if we're getting the two midfield players in and we're losing one, I still probably would take that as well. So can see that. Neil, if we get, I asked that one. Did I ask you one? If we get 2 targets in, what's your starting formation? I think I did. There was one other, and I'm missing it. I'm completely missing it.
Willie said just WTF is going on.
Yeah, what the F is going on? Willie did say. Oh, Melvin asked a question. Sorry, Melvin. Neil, if everybody's fit and there are no more incomings, let's say we get nobody, Neil. Not to ruin your one, right? You get saying we're getting everyone. What's your starting lineup moving forward? Is it what Arteta's doing, or you changed it?
I would have Leno in goal, Gabriel, Luis, and Saliba we can't at the moment, so we'll have to discount him. So I think I'd keep the back three pretty much the same as Gabriel, Luis, Holding potentially. I'll have Tierney is possibly as the wing back on the left hand side and Niles on the right. I would then have. I'd then have to stick with Xhaka and Dani Ceballos as the engine room. And then for me, you know what I'm going to say, Martinelli up front in the middle, and then Aubameyang and on the left, and Pepe / Willian on the right. But then where does that leave Saka?
Yeah, it's a bit interesting one with Saka, isn't it? Because I do feel, again, I thought he had a pretty positive performance against Liverpool. I think we're going to have to start. This is the one thing about this formation. It limits. So I'm echoing on your background, Neil. So it limits Saka, doesn't it? Because we only play in the first team Aubameyang down the left, and we know Saka is probably his best position is around that left side or left attacking mid, if you like, but also the left wing side. So changing the formation and bringing Aubameyang more centrally at a point, if you were to move Lacazette on or something, that really opens the game up for the likes of Bukayo Saka, doesn't it? And which is really interesting and really sort of good exciting to come to. But live stream done, boys. How do you think? It went quite well, didn't it? Quite a good. Got people in the chat. Quite enjoyable. Figured our sound out after 5 minutes. Anthony, what did you thoughts? Very well.
Good. You want me to actually stop the broadcast?
Yeah. Look, just a quick thing. Subscribe, I guess. Subscribe on YouTube. That would help us out. Subscribe so we can get our own URL. So it's not really. I'm not posting this like essay when I'm on Twitter. That would help. I figured out a way of shortening it, but you can't really notice who it is. So
thank you to everyone.
Thank you, not to you because you're static at the start, but I'll say thank you to everyone tuning in. Thanks for the comments. We like the comments on YouTube because it kind of gives us feedback on whether we need to do our hair or wear a different shirt or whatever. So appreciate it. You can still listen to us on all the normal podcast app. That's all thanks to Anthony. Thanks to Anthony that we did this one live. We're going to try and do live Monday 10:30. James is very positive about it. Neil said we're getting free signings. I think me and Mike and Anthony are a bit more realistic about this.
I'm watching Walking Dead, the finale. Sorry.
See what I mean? This is my issue. But so 10:30. The window closes at 11, so we are done. We stopped talking about transfers for forever once it hits the window. But we're going to discuss it at 10:30 till maybe sort of 11:30 when things come in. I'm really hopeful that something big happens because nothing's happened yet. But in the back of my head, I've got Jorginho and Philip Anderson sort of walking around and just giving me chest pains. But quick predictions before we go. Quick predictions. You didn't stop yet, did you, Ant? Oh, quick predictions. Sheffield United, Mike, what's your predictions? We played 2 games since Sheffield United last played one. I know they've had a difficult start, but it's going to be a real big test for us. Got international break coming up. Yeah. We've got to win this one. What's your prediction?
I'll say 2-0 and Aubameyang. But it's going to be a hard game. You know, they haven't got any points, but it's going to be very tough. Very, very tough game now. Yeah,
agree. And I really hope your prediction's right. Anthony, what about you?
I'm going to say 1-0. It's going to be a late goal. And I'm going to say, I think Willian needs to get on the board. I'm going to say Willian.
1-0 late goal, William. Thanks, 95 Winston, for coming into the chat. Neil, predictions?
3-0, and I will say Pepe.
3-0 Pepe. All right. Well, Pepe, maybe come off the bench, maybe not. Okay, go on, James.
I think you're all you're all well too enthusiastic for me. We haven't got a win versus Sheffield United in the league since 2006.
Are you serious?
Yep. We are in the last 10 games that we've played, and we're unbeaten at home. So we've won 8 and drawn 2, but they haven't scored a goal all season, and they're playing us. So you know for a fact they're definitely scoring.
Hold on a minute. I'm getting
4-0.
We haven't got a win since 2006. Did you say?
Against Sheffield United, we haven't beaten Sheffield United in the league since 2006.
They haven't been in the league, have they?
Well, yeah, but previous.
All right.
Yeah.
What's your prediction?
We're gonna nervy win it 2-1. It's gonna be a horrible game. It's gonna be an absolutely disgusting game. But we're gonna win it 2-1, and it'll be Lacazette again because Aubameyang. This is the only team in the Premier League he's never scored a goal against.
He's on a bit of a. I mean, he doesn't go 3 or 4 without scoring, and he's 3 now.
I know, but yeah, I'm backing Lacazette for this one. But no, I think this is gonna be a hard game. If we thrashed them, would I love it? Of course I would, but I think this is going to be tough. I think it's going to be really, really gritty, horrible. We moaned about the Liverpool fouls. These lot are going to chomp us to bits, I think.
Yeah. For some positives coming in, 3-1 from Bob Lex. 4-2.
Don't rate their new goalkeeper though. If we can put it on him.
Yeah, because they lost Henderson. Who's their new goalkeeper now?
Travers from Bournemouth, weren't it? Mark
Travers. Is it? Oh yeah, they spent 15 mil on him, didn't they? Yeah.
I don't rate him. So yeah, if we can.
But they got Brewster in, haven't they, for 24 million from Liverpool? What did they do, Liverpool? How do they do these sales? We tried to sell. If we tried to sell Eddie Nketiah, we wouldn't get that. Unbelievable. I'll go.
Where did Sheffield United get £24 million from? Come on, honestly.
They offered 8 for Balogun about a week ago. Apparently, said they could struggle.
Where did Sheffield United generate that money?
You walk into Liverpool and suddenly you find 15 million down your back pocket. It's like Boise. It's unbelievable. But I'll go 3-1 as like Bob Lex. I'll go 3-1. I'm going to pick a different. I'll go Aubameyang. I know he hasn't scored. Got some of the stats there that worry me because but I think it's going to be a really tough game.
All right, Jack. Did you say 3-1?
No. Well, I said we'd win at Anfield on midweek, and it was on penalties, but we did win. So, but we've got. I think the reset.
Mr. Shah, don't listen to me.
I think the reset for this team comes after this game. Possibly, I know there's international breaks and pointless friendlies that shouldn't be played, but I think the reset for this team might come into that international break when new players maybe come in and the squad is settled. Maybe Arteta starts to look at how we can get more creativity from this lineup, and maybe we start to see tweaks. Maybe not the first game after it, because I think we play Man City on the way back from the international break, but beyond that. So I think this Sheffield United, we're not going to see changes in terms of the formation or the lineup. I think it's going to be a relatively sort of settled team. I do expect maybe Gabriel is really pushing hard to start in that game, though. Now I think he's going to bring him back in possibly, and it'll be interesting to see who he brings him back in for. It will be interesting to see who the midfield is. But yeah, that will be a real big call, James. If it is that, it'll be
Goldrick and McBurney as well as Bruce. They're 2 big, strong boys. I would rather have Gabriel in the air against them than.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. I don't think Xhaka's been fantastic in the last couple of games. I don't think he was fantastic at Anfield for either game. So it'll be interesting to see who our midfield 2 is. Ceballos +1 is what I'd go with currently, and then the right wing's the spot that seems to be open for a lot of players right now. So let's see. But we'll be back Monday to discuss. Hopefully beating Sheffield United, and to discuss where we're at with the transfer. Wherever we're at Monday, we're there. So we're going to be there.
Anthony's there now. It looks a lot lighter compared to
Anthony
how it should be.
I love this. Anthony's got his background.
Anthony's there. So if it all goes wrong, we need to blame Anthony because Anthony's currently there. If anyone should be doing the negotiating, it's Anthony.
I'm on site right now.
Yeah, I'm on site right now. Yeah, there's no one here. It's dead. They've closed down for the week. Fantastic.
They don't know I'm here, but I'm here.
Can I just say a little bit of trivia? Sound like James now. When was the last time he kept a clean sheet at Anfield?
Yesterday. No, to be honest, yesterday.
Apart from yesterday.
It was Monone, wasn't it? Years ago.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what year
2012. 2012.
Monone, yeah.
Vito, good old Vito.
Oh, yeah. Was that a cup game or a league game?
No, the league game.
We won, didn't we?
Yeah, 2-0. But 2012, man.
2000.
Long time, innit?
Oh, that was the first game. Was that the first game of the season? When Santi
That's it.
Podolski scored.
Santi Cazorla scored and Podolski scored,
I
yeah.
think that
Yeah.
was the first game of the season.
Yeah.
I think that, wow, Vito Minone was in goal, was he?
Was that the one where Joe Cole, did he get sent off? He clattered into, that was his
I
debut.
don't know. I remember Podolski.
Koscielny got sent off as well, didn't he? But that wasn't. It was. Right. I don't think it was that game. I don't think it was that game. And who was on the bench? Who was the goalkeeper on the bench that day for Arsenal?
Someone left field, is it? Mark Poom, was it?
Martinez.
Emi Martinez.
Yeah.
Wow. He goes way back with the club. No wonder
shows you, innit? Yeah.
Well, boy, there you go. That's a good trivia. That I like that one. Okay, Anthony, we're good. We're good to stop. Thank you for listening. Go listen back because some of you aren't listening yet. But cheers.
The audio should be up at some point. If you're watching live, it'll be up tomorrow. If you're listening after the fact, then you're already listening to it. So, but it'll be up Saturday.
I'm thanking the people on the stream. So shut up. All right.
End the live stream. Cheers, boys.
All right. 3,
Thanks. Cheers.
2, 1.